Welcome to Grandma's Hour. This is a quiet place for real stories and honest feelings. Stories that were not rushed, stories that were lived. Tonight, I want to share something personal. The year I said no to Christmas. No traditions, no decorations, no pretending. I didn't know that one small decision would change my family and change me. So sit with me for a while. Slow down and let me tell you what happened. When my son told me the celebration was canceled, I smiled instead of crying. I stood there in my kitchen, holding the phone, listening to the quiet hum of the fridge. He said it gently, like he was protecting me from something. But my heart already knew there was more he was not saying. I remember saying, "That's all right, sweetheart. These things happen." My voice sounded calm, even kind. Inside, something folded in on itself, slowly, like paper being pressed flat. I told myself not to ask questions I might not like the answers to. The celebration was supposed to be small, just family. A simple bash to mark my retirement from the library in Willow Creek, Ohio. 40 years of stamping dates, shelving books, and learning the quiet language of people who need stories to survive. My daughter-in-law, Emily, had offered to plan it. She smiled when she said it, all bright eyes and quick hands. "Leave it to me," she said, and I believed her. But then came that call. "The celebration's canceled," my son said. No reason that made sense. Just life being busy, money being tight, time slipping away. I hung up and stood very still. I told myself to be grateful for what I had. I told myself not to be a burden. I told myself many things old women tell themselves to stay quiet. That night, while paying my bills, I noticed a charge on my credit card, a large one, from a party supply store in town. My hands began to shake, because the celebration, the one that was canceled, was very much still happening. But what I saw next changed how I looked at my family forever. And what I chose to do after that? Well, stay with me. Because the next day answered a question I was afraid to ask. I have lived in Willow Creek all my life. It's the kind of town where people still wave from their porches and remember your name at the grocery store. I raised my son Daniel here, in a small yellow house with creaky stairs and a maple tree out front. After my husband passed, it was just the two of us. Daniel was 10 then. I worked extra hours at the library to keep things steady. I learned how to stretch meals, mend clothes, and keep my worries to myself. Daniel grew up kind. At least, that's how I remember him. He held doors open. He called me every Sunday, even after he moved out. When he married Emily, I tried my best to welcome her. She was different from me, fast-moving, organized, always checking her phone. Emily liked things to look nice. She liked plans and pictures and polished moments. I liked warm soup and long talks and silence that didn't need fixing. Still, I tried. I brought casseroles. I babysat when they needed help. I paid for little things with. I never kept score. That's important for you to know. When I retired, they insisted on a celebration. Daniel hugged me and said, "You deserve it, Mom." Emily said, "I'll handle everything." I offered to help pay. Emily waved me off. But later, she asked for my card, just in case. I handed it over without a second thought. That was my mistake. Or maybe it was my lesson. The days passed quietly. No updates, no questions. Then came the call. "The celebration's canceled," Daniel said. I said, "Okay." Because saying okay was easier than asking why. But the charge on my card told a different story. And the truth has a way of knocking, even when you pretend not to hear. What I discovered next made me realize how invisible I had become in my own family. The next morning, I drove into town. I told myself I was just running errands, but my hands turned the wheel toward the party supply store. Inside, I recognized the colors immediately: blue and gold, my favorite. The cashier smiled. "Oh, you're part of the retirement bash too?" she said. "It's going to be lovely." My heart dropped. I didn't correct her. I walked back to my car slowly. I sat there for a long time. People passed by. Life continued. I checked my phone. Photos had been posted online. Emily's friends smiling, decorations set up. Not a single photo of me. I realized then that the celebration was never for me. It was for them, for appearances, for likes and comments and applause I would never hear. I felt embarrassed, not angry, just small. That evening, Daniel called. He sounded rushed. I almost told him what I knew, but I didn't. I asked him if he was happy. He said yes. I hung up and cried into a dish towel so no one would hear. That was my quiet breaking point. But what happened next surprised even me. Because instead of confronting them, I chose patience. And patience, when used carefully, can be powerful. What do you do when you realize your kindness has been mistaken for weakness? I'll tell you. But first, you need to understand what happened at that party. The party happened on a Saturday afternoon. I stayed home. I watered my plants. I listened to the rain tap the windows. Later, a neighbor stopped by. She looked confused. "Why weren't you at your own celebration?" she asked. I smiled. "Oh, plans changed," I said. That night, Emily posted a long message online, thanking everyone for coming, thanking my son for his support. Not a word about me. Something inside me grew very still, very clear. I reviewed my finances, every gift, every payment, every time I had helped without being asked. I realized how much power I had given away by never asking for respect. So I made a decision, a quiet one. The next day, I canceled the credit card. I updated my will. I stopped offering help that was never appreciated. I didn't shout. I didn't accuse. I simply stepped back. Weeks passed, then months. Daniel noticed first. He asked why I seemed distant. I told him I was learning to rest. Emily noticed when the help stopped, when the babysitting ended, when the extra money dried up. One evening, they came over unannounced. Emily looked tired. Daniel looked worried. That's when the truth finally came out. But would they understand what they had done? Or was it already too late? I invited them in. I made tea. I listened. Emily spoke first. She said the party had gotten out of hand. She said she didn't think I'd mind. I asked her a simple question. Why didn't you tell me the truth?" She didn't have an answer. Daniel looked at me then, really looked, and I think, for the first time, he saw the cost of my silence. I told them how it felt, not loudly, not with blame, just the truth. I told them I wasn't angry. I was done being invisible. There was crying. There were apologies. Some were sincere. Some were uncomfortable. But something had shifted. I forgave them for my own peace. But I did not forget the lesson. Respect is not something you beg for. It is something you require. Life became quieter after that. Healthier. They visit now, with intention. They ask before taking. They listen more. And I smile again, this time for real. But the biggest change was inside me. I used to think love meant giving until there is nothing left. Now, I know love also means knowing when to stop. That canceled celebration taught me something no party ever could. That dignity is quiet, and strength does not need an audience. I still live in my yellow house. The maple tree still stands out front, and every morning I choose myself without guilt. If you're listening to this and you've ever felt overlooked, remember this: kindness is beautiful, but boundaries are necessary. This was my true story. Thank you for sitting with me in this quiet moment. Subscribe for more Grandma's Stories. Thank you for spending this quiet time with me. These stories are shared slowly, because life is not meant to be rushed. If this story stayed with you, please like the video and subscribe to Grandma's Hour for more real stories and gentle moments. Until next time, take care of yourself. And remember, some lessons only arrive when we finally slow down.